Guys, welcome to another episode in which we'll talk about all my stories of 2025. If you're not familiar with me, then please let me introduce myself. My name is Rosie, and I have been struggling with the fear of being seen and being heard for my entire life. It was only in 2025 that I realized how serious it was. Me talking to you guys, telling all the stories of 2025 is a big step for me, especially since I'm going to share this on my platform. So it's kind of a big step for me to put myself out here, recording myself, talking to the camera, sharing all my stories of 2025, being open for all kinds of feedbacks, critiques, and whatsoever. First, I want to congratulate everyone with the year of 2026. Hopefully you've enjoyed your New Year's as much as I did, and I look forward to this year. Personally, I really look forward to the year 2026 since a lot has happened since 2005. Great happenings, but still, it's great that we can finally close off 2025 and enter 2026. Now let me take you back to where it all started. I'm on my well-deserved holiday, spending my time in my hotel room in Spain. Like, the weather's cold outside, the streets are peaceful, quiet, and I'm enjoying my time. I thought so. It was my first day in my hotel room, and I laid on top of my bed. And it was in that moment that I felt a rush of emotions rising up and appearing to the surface. And it was in that moment that I felt a sudden surge of emotions appearing to the surface. The thing is that I've been through so many things in the past 2 weeks. Not just the past 2 weeks, but when I look back to it, it was the past 3 years actually. But for now, I'm going to talk about what happened in the past 2 weeks. Something very important happened. I broke off my first situationship, but I broke off this friendship, and I had to deal with a lot of emotions after breaking up with that friend of mine. The emotions that I felt in that moment were so sudden, and I started crying my eyes out. In the half year we spent together, I felt in great companionship with this person because I felt heard. I felt heard, I felt seen, I felt understood. I was in a great company of a great friend. That's what I thought. It was only after an important conversation that we had a few weeks ago that I came to the conclusion that we had two different views in how we viewed our future together. He was under the impression that we could still continue sharing our company together, and I thought the same thing, but it proved to be harder than I expected. So it didn't take long before I sent a message to him in which I told him and explained lengthily that I don't think it was for my own good to continue seeing each other and spending our time together. But I'm not gonna lie, making this decision had me crying for a few days in my hotel room in Spain. And I can remember that I haven't journaled in the past months, and for that reason I decided to pick up my journal, to pick up my pen and start writing my feelings away, since that helps for me. I also could no longer ignore the feelings that I felt inside of me. What I did was, after breakfast, I picked up my journal, write in my journal, went on my day, visited a few museums, went on sightseeing, and then in the evening, get back into my journal, and then write all the feelings that I've been feeling the entire day on paper. So this went on until my feelings settled and I could feel a sense of security in my body. Not only did I spend my time reflecting on the time that I spent together with my situationship, I also started reflecting on all areas in my life in the past 3 years. I've been reflecting on my love life, my career, the friendships that I had, my family bonds, all types of things in my life that I started to reflect on. And after intensive writing, it dawned upon me that I haven't felt genuine happiness in quite a while. And I could tell you it has been years since I felt a true sense of happiness. I didn't feel content with my career. To the matter of fact, my job has been the greatest stress factor in my entire life at the moment. I didn't feel content with my relationships. I didn't feel happy with my lifestyle. I didn't feel happy in my body. I felt a lot of disconnection from many things in my life, including my family, my friends, myself. Also, I couldn't imagine taking a day off, spending my energy and time investing it in me and not thinking or worrying about what happens on my job or whatever. I really felt scattered and all over the place. So I really had to gather myself all together and start contemplating on what I want to do with my future and where am I going, and start contemplating on what I want to do in the coming 5 years. And that was a significant turning point for me at that moment. So there I sat, enjoying my spritz, the sunset, on a bar, writing my journal, and imagine how my life could look like in the coming 5 years. I had to ask myself crucial questions. I had to ask myself who I want to become the coming 5 years. What types of skill do I want to acquire? What types of relationship do I want to be in? What type of relationship do I want to have with myself? What kind of family bonds do I have? What kind of career am I doing? What kind of career do I have? What is my lifestyle? What do I consume on media and food and drink? Where do I live? Do I even live in the same country? Am I the same person? I had to ask myself many important questions. But in the end, I could visualize myself living a different life in the following 5 years. I also asked myself, what type of feelings do I want to feel the following 5 years? How do I want to feel about my life, about myself the following 5 years? And what type of experience do I want to have during those 5 years? After answering those questions, I felt more relieved and more hopeful of my future. Because now, due to the fact that I now have a more clear vision on my future. So there I sat, finishing my 5-year plan on the last day of my holiday. The next morning, I went to the airport, took the airplane, and I felt a bit more positive, but at the same time, I felt a heavy feeling in my stomach. I couldn't stop moving, and I felt incredibly anxious. At the same time, I also felt incredibly worn out. But whatever, I thought whatever these feelings, I have to pick myself up together because I have some work to do the next day. The next morning, I have to wake up and start working again. And there I was, the next day, starting my day, going through the usual stress, going through the usual responsibilities, till my manager walked in to the store. And he appeared quite panicked to me. I wonder what happened. So I asked him, hey, what's up? Turns out that he had made a few calls to me, but I recalled not having my cell phone with me, my work cell phone with me, because I left it in my pocket upstairs. He requested me to visit HQ after work, and I worried. I'm like, what is it about? And he assured me that I didn't have anything to worry about. So after work, I clocked out, made my way to HQ, and I arrived there on time, on the location. And I was escorted separately into a private room. That moment, I noticed that the conversation wasn't going to be just between me and my manager, but it was also between me and another manager. And the conversation turned quite serious. The look on their faces was very serious. And we sat there. And my manager looked me in the eyes and he said, in a very serious tone, we came to the decision that we're going to have to put you on non-active and that we're no longer going to continue working with you. I thought, fuck. What the fuck has happened? What is happening here right now? I felt so many emotions all at once. I could feel an amount of emotions all at once. And I felt so, what the fuck is happening right now? I didn't know what the fuck was happening right now. I looked at, this is what my face looked like. I couldn't apprehend what was happening at the moment. What? I was stunned. This is the face that I made when I was sitting there. But in my body, I could feel so many emotions welling up. I felt nauseous. I felt anxious. But at the same time, I felt numb because I couldn't fathom what was happening at that moment. What I asked myself in that moment was, is this real? Is this really happening? So in all, that moment felt incredibly distressing. The conversation ended up to be very short since I wasn't going to get the answers that I wanted to have. They wanted to keep it short. And I took my L. I took all the losses. And I left the building after that conversation. And it was only after walking towards my bus stop, sitting there, waiting for my bus, that I felt a great surge of relief. I ended up crying of relief because I no longer had any responsibilities toward anyone of my workplace. I didn't have any responsibilities. I didn't even have to pick up the phone for anyone or for whatever reason, because I was relieved of my position, but therefore also relieved of the burden that I carried during that time. I felt so relieved after being released from that job. I could literally feel a weight lifting off my body. That's how relieved I felt. And it was only in that instance that I realized that when I was finishing up my 5-year plan, like a few days ago, the last day, I didn't put any date for my 5-year plan to start. And to me, it felt like a sign of a higher being, the universe, call it whatever you want to, whatever name you want to give to it. To me, it was a sign that I had to start that day with my 5-year plan. I became more conscious of the reason why I felt so relieved that I no longer had the job. I realized that I haven't been happy for the moment that I started the job, and that the job also cost me my mental health, my physical health, stress, and in addition, lack of free time to simply sit with myself, sit with my feelings, to relax, to enjoy my hobbies, to enjoy living, to spend time with others without feeling constantly stressed or on the nerve of breaking down, or the nerve or feeling like I'm gonna get called to solve another problem once again. I no longer had those feelings. And it was all because I was relieved from that position. And from the beginning of that job, I felt more drained than replenished. It was taking all of my energy, all of my soul. It was soul-sucking. It was a soul-sucking experience being there. Working in that place was a soul-sucking experience. It drained all the life out of me. And yes, indeed, I have made many mistakes while having that position. I've made many mistakes, more than I can count. But I cannot deny that I lack a support system in that place, that I wasn't supported the way I was supposed to be supported. I could no longer ignore the unrealistic expectations and the pressure that they have put on me during my time there. For a long time, I've been ignoring my gut feeling and that feeling to simply leave that place, simply because I've been so scared and so afraid not to find anything better, because of the fear of never finding anything better, the fear of not having a stable income, and simply the fear of change. And I'm going to take accountability in this because for a long time I've been taking on a passive role in my own life and not taking any responsibility in terms of my future. So now I felt like the universe decided to take that role upon itself and remove me from that situation, from that place. Now my time of learning was completely done in that environment. You can say that my time of learning was completely over in that environment. I went from one to the other day. I went from constant exposure to stress and unhappiness to having tons of free time and freedom. I had no responsibility to no person except myself. So when I reflect back on the time that my contract got suspended and I was relieved from my position, I view this as a significant time of my life in which everything changed for the better. I view this as the start of my personal journey, a journey of inner child healing, purging, spirituality, and overall a journey in which I've learned so many valuable lessons. During that journey, I've learned lifelong lessons that are incredibly valuable, more valuable than any kind of money. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because I noticed that many people stay in situations that no longer serve them. They stay in situations in which they don't feel any type of happiness or any type of safety. Many individuals stay in situations that no longer serve them, in situations in which they don't even belong. They move in spaces in which they don't even belong. And I need you to reflect on your own life and your own situations. If it's about money, career, your love life, your relationships, your friendships, your family bond, and the connection to yourself, reflect on it. And ask yourself this critical question. Do I feel happy where I am right now? Do I feel happy? Do I feel content with this position, with my career, with my friendships, in this relationship, in this location, in this house? Do I feel happy? Do I feel genuine happiness? You guys, I really need you guys to reflect on this. What type of situations are you holding on so dearly? What gives you this feeling of comfort that you no longer want to leave this feeling, this place, even though it hurts you more than it does you good? And after answering that question, ask yourself, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for something or someone to remove you out of the situation? Who's going to save you? Who's going to remove you out of this situation? You're the only person in control. You're the only person making the decision to stick in that situation. Or are you going to take it upon yourself to remove yourself from that situation? Are you going to take the control that you desperately have to take and do what you have to do? Are you making that active? Are you actively making the decision to remove yourself out of a situation in which you no longer belong, in a situation that no longer serves you? Are you taking an active role in your own life? Are you doing that? Are you truly doing that right now? Or are you waiting for something or someone to relieve you out of a situation? Personally, many things have happened to me after losing my job. I'm gonna break it to you. This won't be a story of financial success, but this will definitely be a story of personal growth, inner child healing, purging, shifting perspective and mindset, and spirituality. It's about going through so many life-changing situations. It's about going through so many life-changing shifts on a deeper level. I think that's more valuable than any kind of money. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for listening to my story. If you're interested and curious in what happened after April, and if you're curious about my story, then feel free to join the story.